I would be scoring 7, 8, 9 goals a game, dribbling around all the boys, scoring loads of goals, and word got out in the paper, in the report, that Kelly Smith was this amazing footballer, but she's a girl. And it caused a bit of uproar, not with the boys that I was playing with or the boys that I was playing against. It was the boys' parents that stood on the sidelines, and they were shouting things at me, yelling at me, saying quite horrible things. And my dad had to sit me down and say, Kelly, you're not allowed to play this game because the parents are saying that it's a boys' sport and you shouldn't be playing, but we know you're really good, but why don't you go play netball, why don't you play hockey, traditional girl sports? And I was like, I don't want to do that, I want to be a footballer. So my dad said, right, let's go find you another boys' team. The same thing happened. The parents had a problem with me playing this game. And he sat me down again and said, Kelly, you can't play this game. You're not allowed to. And I just didn't understand it. Then we had to find a girls' team to play on. So we actually looked in the newspaper because it wasn't very well-known girls playing football, any football teams in my area. And we saw there was a girls' team in Pinner, which was a 45-minute drive to play on a girls' team. I would say probably from that age, I was better than all the boys. I learned moves early on, step-overs, Cruyffs, through watching Match of the Day. I would take that if I fell asleep, if I was too tired, and I'd watch it the next day, and I'd watch certain players that played in my position. Ryan Giggs was the main player. He was a left-footed player like me, and I would watch him run down the wing and watch how we took players on and where he passed the ball in certain moments on the pitch. I didn't want to be Ryan Giggs, I wanted to learn from him and wanted to be Kelly Smith. The letter come through saying I've been selected for England in the World Cup, and I was obviously elated, delighted, but at the same time I was studying for my GCSEs, and yeah, I listened to my parents and I followed my gut instinct. I knew that there would be other opportunities. I was still very, very young, still learning the game, and I had a lot of self-belief back then that I would get to play in the Euros or a World Cup, and fortunate enough for me, I played in 2 World Cups. It was always a dream to me to play for my country. And when the manager told me that I would play in the night before, the game was actually in Sunderland, which couldn't be further away from where I'm from in Watford. So I called my dad up. My dad's always been my biggest fan, and said, Dad, I'm starting tomorrow. And he was like, what? So he's like, I'm never going to miss this. So they got up early in the morning the next day, the game day, drove all the way up to Sunderland. And I wasn't actually supposed to tell anybody that I was playing, but I had to tell my dad for him to make the trip, and it was a dream come true because I made my debut. It was at Roker Park in Sunderland against Italy, and yeah, won player of the match. Yeah, the game day, I just remember being so nervous, but thinking this is just a football game, just go out and express yourself. And when I saw my shirt hanging up in the dressing room, I got a bit emotional, and especially singing the national anthem for that first time, it was just like the best feeling ever. So before the World Cup, we as a team went out to China just to experience it before obviously going and playing in the World Cup. It was a very, very populated city, Shanghai, so many people, so many cars going past, and the pollution was really quite foggy, the air was heavy. Obviously it was my first World Cup in 2007 in China, and absolutely so excited to perform on the biggest stage in the world. That's where everybody gets to see you play, and I was so excited to go out there and perform with my national team. I like to do a lot of visualisation, that I work with the sports psychologist, and it helps you put pictures in your mind before you go out and perform. So I'd lay on my bed the night before the game and just close my eyes and imagine walking out the stadium, smelling the grass, imagining the stadium full of people, imagine myself running with the ball, doing good things, step-overs, beating players, and then scoring a goal, because that's what makes you win a game. I thought, what if I score a goal? What celebration should I do? Brandy Chastain took off her top in the '99 World Cup, and that became iconic. And I just thought, what could I take off? I'll take my boot off and just show my boot, because this boot would have scored the goal. So I scored my first goal in a World Cup against Japan early on, and then managed to take my boot off and run to the corner flag and beckoning all my teammates to come over, and I held it to the crowd like that, and I just thought, I'm going to kiss this boot, because this is the boot that's just scored me the goal. So I just started kissing it. I think I kissed it like 2 or 3 times and just paraded around, and all my teammates celebrated. So that's a iconic moment, kind of what set my career off really, and what I've been known for. Yeah, to become England's all-time goal scorer at that time, there was a lot of talk around it. Every time I'd score for England, it would be like, oh, she's 3 goals away from it, or she's 2 goals away from it. So there's always this background chatter, and you'd hear it. And that added a lot of pressure, because you knew, or hoping eventually, that you would break Karen Walker's record. So it was all about, for me, just staying calm in that moment, if the moment arose in front of goal. And yeah, I remember, slotting the ball into the back of the net and just a relief come off my shoulders, because the talk was quite heavy going into games. Will she break it this time? Will she? So it was nice just to break the record and then quiet everyone down, so then you can just go on and try and score more goals for England. I think you have to believe that you are the best, because who else can give you self-confidence? I always thought I was the best, and you might say that's arrogant, but I had to deliver, and I did deliver on the pitch in those moments, in those big tournaments, and that gave me the confidence to go out there and perform. And I wanted to be one of the best players in the world. I really did. I wanted to be recognised playing for England. I wanted to help develop the women's game. I wanted England to be recognised, and that was always a big passion of mine, to be recognised playing for England.